What you're about to see is going to blow your mind. You're about to see a worldwide political future led by a man who's president of what was once the murder capital of the world. He's leading a nationalist populist revolution that's restored law and order and earned him a 91% approval rating. And of course, woke libs are absolutely freaking out. You're not going to want to miss this. What you're seeing are astonishing images coming out of the nation of El Salvador, touting the opening of what they're calling the nation's new mega prison, a colossal complex that can hold up to 40,000 prisoners at a single time. It's all the brainchild of El Salvador's new nationalist populist president, Nayib Bukele. A few years back, Bukele, a very successful businessman and former mayor of San Salvador, ran for president as a populist outsider who campaigned on basically draining the swamp in El Salvadorian politics and restoring law and order to what had become one of the single most violent nations in the world. He joined up with the relatively new right-wing party called the Grand Alliance for National Unity. And for the first time in the last several decades, a third-party populist candidate won the presidency. This, of course, just months after Donald Trump won as a total outsider for the U.S. presidency. To underscore how significant of a victory this was, El Salvador had perhaps the most stable two-party system among all the Latin American nations since the 1980s. It was virtually impossible for a political outsider to break through, but that's exactly what Bukele did. And he did so resoundingly with 53% of the vote, which turned out to be a first-round victory greater than all the other candidates combined. In fact, it gets even better. In the original three-way presidential race, there were two right-wing candidates, Bukele and another fellow. And Bukele and the other right-wing candidate combined received an astonishing 85% of the vote. The left-wing candidate, Hugo Martinez, he got less than 15% of the vote. So needless to say, Bukele is very popular. He's a Trump-like figure in El Salvadoran politics, and now we're beginning to see the nation transform from one of left-wing lawlessness to one of right-wing law and order. At one point, El Salvador had the highest murder rate in the entire world, averaging one murder per hour. Drug cartels and gangs literally controlled everything. The government became little more than a passive spectator. But now, with Bukele at the helm, all of that has come to a dramatic end. Take a look at the latest reports. The homicide rate in El Salvador has plummeted. It's been cut in half in just the last year. And one of the reasons for the dramatic drop in murder rates is being touted by this government-released video. As you can see, it depicts thousands of tattooed gang members rounded up in their underwear, their heads all shaved, as they're being transported to the newly built largest prison facility in the Americas. It's all part of Bukele's massive crackdown on violent crime, which has resulted in the arrest of over 64,000 violent criminals, and it's changing El Salvador like never before. But if you could believe it, and I know you can, the woke left in the United States is absolutely freaking out over all of this. Wait until you see what they're saying and how it's already backfiring. You're going to absolutely love it. But first, gang, we got big news. Our merch store is getting a huge makeover. We got brand new designs coming into the Turley Talks merch store in the next month, and that means we need to make room. So if you want cool t-shirts like this one, you're going to have to act fast. All the top designs featured on the store.turleytalks.com site are limited quantity and won't be available for long. So make sure to click on that link below right now and grab one of these incredible designs for yourself or a fellow patriot and stand boldly for truth. Don't miss out on owning one of these amazing designs before they disappear forever. Click on that link below right now or go to store.turleytalks.com. Take a look at this from the Washington Post. It's an opinion piece written by Leon Krauss, And it makes the argument that El Salvador's newly unveiled massive prison for hardened gang members is a sign that Bukele has turned El Salvador into a police state. Quote, at least 60,000 Salvadorans have been imprisoned as a result of the crackdown, including hundreds of minors, often in what a recent Human Rights Watch report calls indiscriminate raids. The report paints a chilling portrait of authorities run amok, arresting Salvadorans with no apparent connections to gangs' abusive activity, sometimes acting merely on appearance or social background. As of November, 90 detainees had died in custody, according to the government's own numbers. Now, just to give you a sense of who's saying this, the same publication, the Washington Post, 8 months ago, actually led with this headline. I kid you not. El Salvador's mass arrests won't lower the murder rate. Again, El Salvador's mass arrests won't lower the murder rate. May I remind you, these are the self-righteous, self-appointed fact checkers of supposedly reliable information. Well, Washington Post, here are the facts. Back when the leftists were in charge of El Salvador in 2015, the total murders were 6,656. Given El Salvador's population, one stat had 100 murders per every 100,000 people. But in 2022, after Bukele's law and order reforms, that murder rate dropped to just 495. And the Washington Post had the gall to tell us that mass incarcerations of some of the most violent and murderous people on the planet would do nothing to change the murder rate in El Salvador? Who even gives these guys the time of day anymore? They're just left-wing globalist propagandists. The very propagandists that got El Salvador in the criminal mess it was in before Bukele came to power. Is it any wonder right now as we speak that President Bukele has, I kid you not, an approval rating of 91%? You heard that right. 91% approval. This is the future. Right-wing law and order is the political paradigm of the future. Nationalist populist agendas can and do elicit 90% approval rating among their populations. President Bukele is the future. He and the growing nationalist populist leaders around the globe are leading the way towards a new era when left-wing shills like the Washington Post will be long forgotten, and when dilapidated, crime-infested streets will be remembered as leftism's ultimate legacy. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You'll definitely want to check out my latest video on Disney unconditionally surrendering as red states crush the woke left. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on that link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.